So this is a challenge from the Elegant JavaScript book, and it basically wants you to create a program which represents an 8x8 grid and using new line characters to separate the lines. At each position of the grid, there's either a space or a hash, and the characters should form a chessboard. So if you've done an 8x8 grid, you should get the output of something like this. Now I did this and I wanted to sort of challenge myself and think, okay, well, what if we specify the height and the width separately? So if you wanted the height to be 16 and then the width just to stay as 8, then you would get sort of an output of this, like 16 lines with 8 characters, or a height of 1 and then a width of sort of double the amount. Then you get that, and so on and so forth. Or if anything's set to 0, then you get nothing. That was my sort of idea. This is the solution I came up with. It might not be the most, I don't know, elegant. It might not be the best solution, but it was just the first one which I sort of came up with. So first of all, I would have the width as 8, and then the height also as 8, and then a board equal to nothing, well, an empty array. Then I would have line 1 and line 2 also equal to empty arrays. I was then thinking, okay, well, if the width or the height is equal to 0, then you're not going to get an output of anything. So the output's going to be no board. So to prevent the whole function from running, you could just do an if statement here. So if h is equal to 0, or if the width is equal to 0, then we can return, for now, well, you could return just console log nothing, or just put a message, please have a height or width greater than 0. So now, I need to get this running. I have it running with nodemon. So just do nodemon and then the name of the file. And then we'll set the width to 0 and we'll get our message. Just reset that and then change the height to 0, and then we'll also get our message. So if h or w equals 0. The next part we'd want to make line 1. So making line 1. And we'll do that with a for loop. So for let I is equal to 1. And then I is less than or equal to the width. And then we'll increment I by 1 each time. And now here we need to determine if we're going to push in like a hash or push in a space, and we can do that by using the modulus operator. So if we do I modulus 2 is equal to 1, so what this will do is I is 1, and then 1 sort of divided by 2 is going to give you a remainder, and if it's a remainder, then your output of that condition will be a falsy output, and that will be 1. Oh, so we don't even need to do that. So yeah, so 1 divided by 2 is falsy because you're going to get a remainder, and if it's falsy, then we want to do line 1 dot push the hash. And then say if it's falsy, we'd want the space. And then then we do line 1. Let me just type this down. So 1 divided by 2 is falsy. You're going to get a remainder, so that means you're going to have the output of 1. So if you get the output of 1, it's going to place the hash. Now 2 divided by 2, you're going to get no remainders, so your output of that's going to be truthy, and that's going to be a 0. So then you'll want to push in the space. And then once again, it'll be 3. 3 divided by 2, you're going to get a remainder, so the output's going to be 1, which is falsy, which means you're going to get to push in the hash. So just to test that, we'll do console.log line 1. We've got a width of 8. Let's just do line 1.join. So now we've got our space hash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No. Yeah. And then if we change width to 4, space hash. So now the next part is we would want to determine if the height is greater than 1. So if the height was equal to 1, we'll just do it here. So if height is equal to 1, then we just want to return console.log line 1, because there's only going to be one line. However, if the line is greater than 1, then we need to get on with creating our line 2. And we can just use the for loop that we've created before and just change the hash and the space around. So then we just get the opposite effect. Now, by looking at this bit here, you could think, okay, well, can't I just reverse the array, or you turn it into a string, reverse a string? You could do that, and that was my first approach. However, if the width was 5, and I need to get that console log, why is that not coming up? Width is 5. Have I done something wrong? If the line is, okay. Line is greater than, or line is equal to 1. So then we're going to get space hash, space hash, space. So then if we have our height equal to 2, at the bottom here, I'll just console.log line 1. And also line 2. We haven't made line 2 yet, have we? Line 2, line 2. Line 1.reverse, that's what I'm trying to show. So if we have an odd value for our width, we'll have space hash, space hash, space. And then if we reverse that string, you're going to get the exact same. If we have our width equal to 6, then we get the pattern that we want. But every time our width is an odd number, we just get the exact same string, because it's just the exact same reversed. So that's why I've created another for loop to create the second line, just in case you set a width to an odd value, and then you're not going to get this problem. So we'll just delete them lines. And then the next part is you'd want to say the height was 3, then we need to have 3 lines. So we can do that. Just trying to think. We first of all need to change the lines to a string. So at the moment they're arrays. So if we do line 1 is equal to line 1.join, and then we just want to join at the separate sort of elements of the commas, so we don't put anything in here. But then we also need to add the new line, and we do that like so. So now at the end of every line 1, there will be a new line. And then we do exactly the same for line 2. Just change that. And now we will need to create a for loop. So this will be based on how what you set your height to. So for let I is equal to 1, and then I is going to be less than or equal to h, h, and then I plus plus. So here we'll do I, an exact same sort of pattern, modulus 2, question mark. So if we're going to get a truthy value from this, or say we'll start off with if it's h1, then we just want to do line 1. Well, if I is equal to 1, 1 divided by 2 is falsy. So our falsy value will be board dot push line 1. And then our second line will be 2 divided by 2, which will be 0, which is a truthy value. And if it's a truthy value, we want to push in line 2. So board dot push line 2. And then after all of this, we can just do return, and then we'll return our board, console log board, and we'll return it as a string, because by pushing the individual strings in, because we're pushing it into an array, and now we want to join all of these elements up to create it into a string. So we'll return board.join, and then we'll have our chessboard. So we'll do the 8x8, and then we get our 8x8 grid. You can do 20 by 20 or 20 by 10, which gives us this. Heck, 200. Doesn't look as patterny because it goes just over the line, but say we do 50 of a height of just 1. You get, oh, no, what has happened there? Return line 1, oh, join. There we go. You get the idea. Or if anything's equal to 0, then we just get our message. But yeah, this was the solution which I sort of came up with. I'll try and make it so it's full screen. There we go. There's probably a much better way of typing all this out. But yeah.